Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I just want to talk about Canon's new R1 and R5 Mark II, so let's get started. Alright, so you guys that have been with us for a while know how I approach things. I approach things from a photographer, a working photographer's perspective. You know, maybe a small town photographer. I'm in kind of a mid-sized town here, just Metro Atlanta, so I'm not a small town, but we're not all the way Atlanta yet. But, you know, most of your photographers are going to be small town areas. So will this camera be for them, and will this camera be for you? So I'm going to go over the good and the bad. I'm not here to promote the camera, and I'm not here to knock the cameras. I'm just here to help you decide. First, a few specs. You probably know all these. You've probably heard of 1,000 times, but I'll go over the few important ones one more time. The Canon R1 has an illuminated stack sensor, shoots 24 frames per second. It will recognize 10 people's faces if you take a picture and save it in there, which that's pretty cool. I like that. It will also upscale a JPEG image to 96 megapixels. So if you need a really large JPEG, you can get it right out of your camera. Now the R5 Mark II, it also has the illuminated stack sensor. It is a 45 megapixel camera, shoots 30 frames per second with the electronic shutter, and it has eye control. I really like that eye control. That sounds really cool. You just look around and focus on that. That's kind of cool. I really like that. You can also do video and stills with it at the same time, which I find that also very, very cool. And they both, I believe, do 8K RAW, 60 frames a second in log. So that is a massive file. So let's look at this for a minute. First, I want to say they put some crazy technology in these new cameras. Some of that stuff is absolutely amazing what they can do with the technology. But the question we have is, should you buy it and who is it for? So let's say you want to go buy a Canon R5 Mark II. One of the kits for the R5 Mark II comes with the Canon 24-105 f4 lens. So if you buy that kit, you're looking at $5,399. Let's say you're a photographer in an average sized town somewhere and you do weddings on the weekend and you do proms and you do senior portraits. Are you going to be able to make back that $5,500 or a lot more than that with tax back with this new camera that you can't already get with your Canon R5 or your Canon R6 or your R6 Mark II that you're using now, or even maybe you're still using a Canon 5D Mark IV? Are you going to be able to make up that money in your sales to pay for this camera? Well, there's more to it than just that camera. There's a lot of expense going to that camera. Like I said, that camera with the lens is $5,400. But you're going to have to buy other things too. You're going to need, and especially on the R1, it has 2 slots with CFS express cards on that Canon R1. So you're going to need at least 4 memory cards, 4 CFS express memory cards. ProGrade makes one terabyte, $999 each. So you're gonna need $4,000 worth of memory cards, because most photographers are going to carry at least 4. So I just kept it at 4. That's $4,000 in memory cards. Then you're going to need about 4 extra batteries. And again, I'm on the low side. They're $80 a piece. So that's $320. And then you're going to want the battery grip. That's $499. Your USB power adapter is $150. So all that is $4,965, and that's just what you need to get the full use out of the camera. So $4,965 to prepare to buy the camera. And then there's another question you're going to have to ask. When you're processing your images, I know a lot of photographers like myself, I mostly use a Mac top. I have an M1 processor, M1 Max, the top of the line M1 with 64 gigs of RAM. A terabyte of space, but I don't know 4K, 60 frames a second, all this. You may have to buy a new laptop, and if you're into the Apple like I am, and most guys I know, I looked up their top end MacBook Pro, the 16-inch, and they had one you could get that was $4,000. So if you're going to need an extra computer, a laptop, that's another $4,000 you're going to need. So if you need all the things for the camera, the memory cards, the power adapters, the battery grip, and the batteries, and then you also have to buy another laptop to process everything, you're now at $8,964, and this is before you buy the equipment. So let's say yes on all that. So, and with tax, we're going to say that's a $9,000 number. We'll round it off to 9,000. It's a little bit more than that, but we'll just say 9,000 for easy math. And then you go and you want the R5 with the lens. That's $5,400 plus tax, but I'm not going to count tax here. So we're at 9 plus 54. So that's $14,500 for one camera and one lens. Great camera. They have great specs. I'm a Canon guy. I always have been. But I don't know many real working photographers that are going to have a budget where they can just go out and drop almost $15,000 to get ready to buy one camera with one lens. You know, some of the bigger companies, they will have the budget, but I know some of the larger corporations that I've shot for before, they have a tendency to use really older cameras. I shot fraternities and sororities for a couple of years, and our cameras that we were using, they were like 10 years old. I mean, they were really old. They were like 6 or 8 megapixel cameras. They were just really small. It was Nikon. And they're not going to run out and buy, because they've got people working all over the country. They'd have to buy probably 100 of them. Do that math real quick. I think most of your working photographers and your corporations that are working to make money, they're not going to run out and buy this. So who is Canon making these cameras for? Well, we know a lot of big YouTubers get them. But you know, a lot of these big YouTubers, I don't really believe are working photographers. Some of them could be. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just not sure. But I'll see them, you know, 1 month they'll be like, I'm switching to Canon. And then you invest all that money in Canon, and then 6 months later they're like, we're switching everything to Sony. And then 6 months later we're switching everything to Fuji. No real photographer does that. I've never met a photographer in my life that changes every 6 months or even every year, every 2 years. It is so much money involved in switching your entire line of gear. I would assume this is going to be a lot of people who are amateurs that just have a lot of money to play with toys. I don't mean to make anybody mad with that statement, but I think that's who'll be buying some of them. And you know, I'm sitting there trying to think, who's going to spend that kind of investment on a camera? Because what does that camera do? Yes, it has very cool features. I'm not knocking the features at all. They have built 2 fantastic, amazing, crazy cameras right here, amazing cameras. But who is going to have the money that is in business to make a profit to run out and buy these things with that kind of cost? Again, they're awesome cameras, but that's a lot of money to put into a budget, especially for your local small town photographer. I don't think your local small town photographer would do it, because you know, if he's got to change everything, you're looking, what do we say, at $15,000 pretty much for everything you'll need, plus the R5 and the 24 to 105. You know, if they're shooting senior portraits and they're shooting proms and they're shooting weddings, I don't see that they can make up $15,000 in money by using those cameras versus probably what they're using now, 5D Mark IV, Canon R6 Mark II, whatever they're using. Some of them may even be using the R7, the crop sensor. You never know. So do I think they're great cameras? I think they're fantastic cameras. They're amazing cameras, probably the best cameras ever made. I just don't know who's going to run and buy them. I'm not going to run and buy one. I'm sticking with my Canon R6. Not because I don't think my Canon R6 is better than these cameras, but I can get pictures that I can make the highest amount of money I can make with my Canon R6. I don't see an extra dollar coming in from having these. Who is going to buy these? I mean, you've got some big corporations, I'm sure, that have like, you know, small little photography areas. They'll probably buy them. I don't see any large corporations that are just photography based that are sending out people all over the country. I don't really see them saying, oh, give me 200 of those R5 Mark IIs. I just don't see that. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I come at things from a different angle than a lot of guys on YouTube. I've been a photographer for over 40 years, and I know that you have to make a profit. And when you start throwing around $15,000, that's a lot of money to your small town photographer. And I just don't see that many that are going to do it. Now, maybe if my main camera was an R5 right now and I happened to drop it in the ocean yesterday and I saw this, yeah, then I could see jumping up and buying it. But if I've got an R5 and it still works great and I have no issues and I'm making plenty of money with it, I don't see the need to jump up. Maybe some videos, maybe some of the companies that do a lot of videos will be into this. So anyway, that's just my ramblings, guys. I'm just trying to figure out, I look at things from a business perspective and try to figure out who this would benefit. And again, I said it a couple times, these are amazing cameras that they put out. Amazing cameras. I'd love to have one, but I'm just not going to buy one at the price compared to what I have now. So anyway, if you guys are looking at buying one of the new cameras, let me know. You know, just try to here to help you guys out. So if we're helping you guys out, give us a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Have a good day.